After Count Dooku had trapped Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi beneath a balcony, Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker recovered to resume his attack on Dooku. Watching from his seat, the secret Sith Lord Darth Sidious had intended his apprentice Dooku to test the skills of Skywalker, and see if he was worthy enough to be his future apprentice. Dooku taunts Anakin for not using his fear, hate and anger, and Anakin responds by using the dark side to fuel his attacks, disarming the Sith apprentice, catching the curve-hilted lightsaber, and crossing it with his own, before placing it at the Sith Lord's throat. Anakin hesitates to kill Dooku, knowing that it was not the Jedi way, but Palpatine betrays his apprentice by encouraging Anakin to kill him. Anakin begrudgingly complies, oblivious to the true intentions of Palpatine. But what if Dooku had managed to reveal to Anakin that Palpatine was the Sith Lord? How would Anakin react to the revelation? What would Palpatine do in response to the exposure of his true identity? As you're about to see, Dooku's words will alter the fate of the universe. As the duel moved closer to the Supreme Chancellor, Count Dooku's normally effortless dueling technique was showing signs of weakness. Anakin Skywalker was not one to miss such an opportunity, and used some of his dark side powers to overpower the Sith. The Sith, who had evaded and slipped from their grasp on so many occasions. Cutting off his wrists with a precise strike, Anakin caught Dooku's lightsaber, and formed a cross shape with both blades, hovering them beside the neck of the Sith Lord. Dooku looked at his master in shock, but he only saw a look of sadistic delight. Before the master could order the death of his former apprentice, Dooku pointed his severed arm towards Palpatine, declaring him to be the Sith Lord. Dooku pleaded with Anakin, reminding him of what he had told him after their duel with the Pikes. Anakin continued to hesitate, his hands starting to twitch and shake. He had no reason to trust the leader of the Separatists, somebody who had been going for his neck on every encounter. But this was not the Jedi way. A rumbling aboard the invisible hand made up Anakin's mind, and he decided to kill Dooku, keeping what Dooku had told him for later. Leaving the ship in a trail of fire, Palpatine the Jedi and R2-D2 make it safely back to Coruscant. After Palpatine had gone to greet the other senators and political figures, Anakin tells Obi-Wan what Dooku had told him in his final moments. Obi-Wan paused in thought at the entrance of the Senate shuttle bus. For Dooku to say this in his final moments held much more value than his previous comments. This time, Dooku had made it obvious that Palpatine was the Sith Lord, rather than use the name of Darth Sidious. Leaving Anakin to meet the politicians, Obi-Wan had plenty to think about as he made his way back to the council. As he takes his customary seat, the fellow council members sense his unease, and Obi-Wan relays what Anakin had told him. Yoda in particular is concerned, as the Supreme Chancellor had grown to have so much power, limiting the options for the Jedi. With the likelihood that the Sith Lord would sense any kind of treachery, the Jedi needed to be careful in exposing the corruption in the Senate, keeping a close eye on activities from the Chancellor's office. Every interaction by a Jedi with the Chancellor now had to be reported in detail to the Council. Upon Anakin's arrival in front of the Jedi Council, the disturbing news of the Senate having control of the Jedi Council put the Order in a precarious position. The Council have no power in stopping Anakin becoming one of their members, but they sense that he is getting too close to the Chancellor. Away from the other members, Yoda, Mace Windu and Obi-Wan discuss what to do with Anakin. Having already ruled out spying on the Chancellor, the Jedi wisely decide to send Anakin to Mandalore and assist the efforts of Lady Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, getting the Jedi Knight far away from the potential allure of the dark side. Although it was against the interests of the Republic, the Jedi refused to bow down to the requests of the Senate. This was a risk they needed to take. Anakin gladly accepts the mission, as he hoped that it would take his mind off of the nightmares he had been having about Padme. With Anakin gone, Palpatine cannot tell the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and now he was forced to wait for Anakin to return. Nonetheless, he decides to tell the Jedi Council of the whereabouts of Grievous, hoping that the Jedi would be further separated when he unleashed Order 66. As he had expected, the Jedi Council sent Obi-Wan to Utapau, separating one of the people who had been close to Anakin. But little did the Chancellor know, Obi-Wan did not just aim to eliminate Grievous, but also to find any links between the Chancellor and the Separatists. Back on Mandalore, Anakin had finally arrived in time to see the civilians being evacuated by the 501st and the Mandalorian warriors. Charging towards the throne room, Anakin walked past Jesse and Bo-Katan to meet Maul sitting in his throne. Maul is pleased to see Anakin and reveals the visions he had been having of Anakin becoming the apprentice of Darth Sidious. Ahsoka defends her master, stating that he would never turn to the dark side, but the unease from Anakin betrayed her words. Nonetheless, Anakin did feel lighter without the presence of Palpatine, allowing him to focus on their duel against Maul. With both Ahsoka and Anakin against the Zabrak, Maul had to think carefully and try to separate the pair. But Ahsoka and Anakin worked seamlessly together, chasing Maul through the rooftops of Sundari. Now Maul was surrounded by the 2 Force users and the surviving clones, of which there were many. Maul had to choose his fate. The Zabrak was torn between his hatred for his former master and his hate for Obi-Wan. But Maul needed Sidious gone first. Maul tries to use a Force-enhanced sleep to escape the city, but Ahsoka and Anakin held him back, and he fell into the mercy of the clones. This was not so bad for Maul, as he knew they would fly back to Coruscant, exactly where his master was located. Whilst Maul was being placed into a secure Mandalorian cage and transported to Coruscant, Ahsoka and Anakin waited for news of Obi-Wan on Utapau. A tired Obi-Wan appears on their holoprojector, confirming news of the defeat of Grievous, and the Jedi Master was working to uncover the whereabouts of the Separatists and their connections to Sidious. Anakin relays his own good news of Maul's capture and of Palpatine's apparent intentions with Anakin. Obi-Wan had been concerned about this matter ever since the fall of Dooku, but has only expressed this to Master Windu and Yoda, worried about how Anakin would react. Obi-Wan orders Anakin to stay in Mandalore until the Sith Lord had been taken care of, anticipating Sidious trying to lure Anakin. A conflicted Anakin agreed, before bidding farewell to his master. Anakin paced the remnants of the throne room, trying to dispel a myriad of emotions. Anakin was torn between staying to avoid the law of the dark side and doing something about the nightmares of Padme. Ahsoka consents her master's intense conflict and asks the room's occupants to leave. Rex, however, stays, knowing exactly what Ahsoka was planning. After all, experience outranked everything. Taking over from Ahsoka, the hologram of Padme appears, and she is surprised to see Rex and Ahsoka. Anakin rushes over after hearing the voice of Padme, and he collapses onto the floor in despair. Ahsoka and Rex are confused, but Padme tells them of the nightmares he had been having of her dying in childbirth. Ahsoka is extremely worried about what her master could do next. If they were not careful, Anakin Skywalker could rain terror upon the galaxy. Taking some inspiration from her master, Ahsoka decides to go for an improvised plan of action, following the requests of Padme and Obi-Wan to keep Anakin away from Coruscant until the Sith had been taken care of. Ahsoka tells her master to get some rest on the journey as they went to help Obi-Wan. But in reality, Ahsoka was going elsewhere to find a familiar shady friend. Back on Utapau, Obi-Wan was continuing to assist the clones in their completion of their victory. While searching for any clues of connections between the Separatists and Sidious, Obi-Wan was still worried about Anakin. He had felt a great conflict from his Padawan, and he hated his current position for not being able to do anything about it. The Jedi Council had ordered Anakin from moving, and Obi-Wan would not go against their wishes, even if he felt it to be wrong. He hoped that Ahsoka would follow her master, and not obey the rules. After searching several levels of the unique layout of Pal City, Obi-Wan got a message from his comlink to search for a promising room. Obi-Wan enters with Commander Cody, and they find a holoprojector which had recently been destroyed, sparks emitting from their base. With the assistance of several astromech droids, the holoprojector flickers back into life, and the hologram of Sidious appeared from a previous transmission with Grievous. Obi-Wan presents the footage to the Jedi Council, where Yoda wants more evidence from Mustafar, as it had been mentioned in the conversation between Sidious and Grievous. With Mustafar relatively close by, Obi-Wan takes a group of his 212th Battalion to assist him. A short time later, they land on the lava-laden planet, and Obi-Wan leads the clones through to the mining facility. Obi-Wan peered through a small gap and into a meeting room, seeing the hologram of Sidious. The Sith Lord was choking the life out of half of the room's occupants, and Obi-Wan had to wait his turn. After the cackling hologram of Sidious had faded beyond the screams of the Separatist Council, Obi-Wan and the clones rushed in. The already crippled Separatists offered no resistance, and the clones soon captured and then moved them to a holding area on their ship. Obi-Wan used the same method as he had done on Utapau, relaying the previous transmissions back to the Jedi Council. The Council are happier with this more concrete evidence, but they are still worried about Sidious continuing to state that he would deal with the Jedi. Surely Sidious did not expect to defeat the whole Jedi Order by himself. Nonetheless, Master Yoda orders all of the Council members to complete their missions, and then return to Coruscant as quickly as possible. Having succeeded his own mission, this was no trouble for Obi-Wan, but others would take longer. Obi-Wan returns to his cruiser with the prisoners, and clears the command deck to speak to Anakin. He's unsurprised to find Ahsoka answering his message, and she had taken matters into her own hands concerning Anakin. What was not reassuring, however, was that she had diverted the ship to the planet of Florum, in an effort to leave Anakin with the crafty Hondo. Nonetheless, if Ahsoka could keep Anakin away from the Sith, the pirates were far less of a threat. Continuing to discuss what the Council were going to do with the Sith Lord, Captain Rex interrupts their conversation to state that the hangar doors had been activated. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan looked at each other in horror as they knew what the cause was. Anakin had escaped. Obi-Wan implored Ahsoka and Rex to chase down General Skywalker, leaving him to warn the Jedi Council. Thankfully for Obi-Wan, most of the Jedi Council were close to completing their missions and are on their way, but most were unaware of Anakin's true intentions. After managing to fly away from Ahsoka's cruiser, Anakin was speeding his way back to Coruscant. All of his duties to the Jedi have long since been forgotten, his thoughts only for not letting the nightmares of Padme become true. While still flying, Anakin managed to reach Padme, and a rather confused senator appeared in hologram form, wondering what Anakin was doing aboard a starfighter. Anakin vowed that he would save Padme, but Padme reiterated that she had not felt anything was amiss after repeated checks from medical droids. Anakin's ship stopped mid-flight as the Jedi tried to let go of his worry, but the visions of Padme were becoming stronger than they had been on Mandalore. As Anakin was about to choose between going to Padme or turning back to Ahsoka, his ship was drawn in by Ahsoka's cruiser. His Padawan is not happy with him as he jumped out of the cockpit, warning him that the Sith Lord was still on Coruscant. This failed to calm Anakin, now realising that Padme was in close proximity to the Sith Lord. There was only one thing Ahsoka and Rex could do. Able to reach Padme again, she quickly boards a Nubian starship and leaves her building. But as she tries to leave the atmosphere of Coruscant, she found her ship hovering in mid-air. A helpless Anakin punched a holoprojector in anger, as he knew that Palpatine was the cause of the panic. Directing Padme on the controls, she finally manages to bring the ship to controlled landing, just outside of the Senate building. With Padme trapped on Coruscant, Anakin rapidly contacts Obi-Wan, who is serene in hearing the news of Padme. Obi-Wan's destroyer unloads several gunships, and they descend on Coruscant. The clones spread themselves across the Senate building, allowing Obi-Wan to enter Senator Amidala's ship. Telling her to try and fly once more, Obi-Wan uses the most powerful force push he possibly could, countering some of Sidious' dark side powers. Despite Senator Amidala engaging maximum thrust on her ship, Obi-Wan was beginning to tire, just as clones started to fire the Chancellor's office, distracting the Sith Lord and allowing Padme to fly into the skies. Across the galaxy, Anakin is relieved to hear that Obi-Wan had managed to help Padme reach him, and that now other Jedi were arriving to capture the Sith Lord. The plans of Sidious were collapsing with each passing moment, and he could sense it too. He needed to get Anakin Skywalker back under his control. Breaking open the glass to his office, the ascending clones cried out in pain as they fell to the ground. Jumping into his personal ship, he set off for the Jedi Knight. But Obi-Wan was not done yet, and as he saw the Sith Lord leave, he ordered all of the clones to use their cables to try and stop the ship. Palpatine effortlessly dismissed the cables, but he failed to notice that his ship was being engulfed by a large cruiser. The Sith Lord was forced to leap out, beginning to scythe down the clones, attempting to find a way to the front of the ship and take the controls. The clones are at his mercy, even as he tried to not damage the ship, crushing most of them without much effort, but soon he came face to face with Jedi Council member Plo Koon. The extremely skilled lightsaber duelist was a significant obstacle, and it forced Sidious to unveil his lightsaber. With the Keldor Jedi Master only needing to delay Sidious, he began mixing any lightsaber strikes with longer range Force Judgment attacks. Sidious was starting to become annoyed. This was wasting time he did not have to spare. Throwing several lines of clone troopers towards the Jedi Master, he is knocked off of his feet and behind a set of blast doors, which soon close. Sidious decapitated all of the navigational officers and set his own course. Behind him, Plo Koon recovered from his fall and was joined by Obi-Wan and the arriving Masters in Windu and Yoda. All using their lightsabers to melt the blast doors, they ignore the ship beginning to tilt and shake, creating a hole in the door. All surging towards the Sith Lord, Sidious has to release the controls and defend himself. With Windu pressing most of the attacks, the Karoo Master leans into the Sith Lord, accidentally altering the controls of the ship. They all begin to tilt downwards, and Master Windu backs off to allow the ship to stable. After a brief taunt from Palpatine about how the Jedi would not get away with his murder, the Jedi do not relent, and all increase the power of their attacks. Sidious eventually fell at the hands of Grandmaster Yoda. The Jedi who had failed to stop Dooku leaving the Jedi had repaid the compliment to the succeeding Master, even if revenge was not the Jedi way. The exhausted Jedi are helped to their feet by any surviving clones, who are oblivious that their fate could have been so much different. Leaving Windu and Yoda to sort out the death of the Supreme Chancellor with the authorities, Obi-Wan was able to tell Anakin of the fall of the Sith Lord. With Coruscant safe, Anakin and Padme return, allowing the Senator to give birth to Luke and Leia. And at last, the Galactic Senate was free of its corruption. That is it for What If Dooku Exposed Palpatine. If you enjoyed this, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, and if you're new to this channel and my other channel, subscribe for more tips. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd like to see next. and how I can improve my videos. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.